shut my office door. Can hear the kids.
All right. I guess I'm assuming the men on this call can hear us, but I'm not seeing your faces yet. But no problem. Liza has a work call. Excuse me, has a work event this evening, and then you guys saw Taylor's text. So
Okay.
so it may be smaller. Both of them said they're going to try to get out of the work thing and come. So we'll see. But for now, we can get started. Welcome everyone to week 6. I'm pretty excited to hear about all the progress amongst you, so we can jump in and get started. I think the first thing that we want to talk about is we just want to hear how, I mean, Zan, for you, how did the inspection go? Has it happened yet?
Yeah. Hey, how are you? How are you guys doing?
Great.
I had a very busy week. I just had an inspection just hours ago. We had owner and the inspector. There's 2 inspectors coming in, one for interior and one for exterior. Now there's a lot of the detail. There's a house like 1979, so there's a lot of wear and tear. The exterior, the major thing that they're pointing out is like the tree was too close to the house. I'm living in Texas, so there's a lot of the extreme weather.
Yes.
Just about months ago, there's a storm and there's a lot of the tree fell down. So that was a little bit concerned. Was tree was really close to the house, like that property. The front is actually the parking, and then the back is the property, and then there's a on the both side of the property, there's a tree that separates the neighbor from this property, and then the tree was like literally about maybe 12-inch away, and the tree was very tall. So we were wondering how this maybe need to be addressed just for the safety issue.
Yep.
Yeah, it's something to consider. We've taken down many trees at many properties for similar reasons. Michael, the last one, we had some huge pine trees, and I'll have to share pictures. Like, it was, Michael actually stayed there the whole time watching them cut down the trees because they were so impressive. But he's so happy. We did that a couple months ago, and just the pine needles aren't in the gutters anymore, and just safety. I mean, it might be it's an easier fix than what you might think, but safety things considered, yeah, it's probably for the best move.
Yeah. And the contract also pointed out one of the I think it's called the slab, the foundation.
Yep.
That it was kind of a very close to the ground, so they wanted to do a termite check. At it was like the first floor. How to say this? Her first floor was it's close to the ground, so it's pretty wet. And they mentioned about some like the one of the unit on the first floor, the foundation is a little bit sunken. So I think there's a warranty still for this foundation. So I think they wanted to have those people come out to check the foundation, just make sure. So that's and then there's some I think consider mild issue for the electricity switches and something like that. And the interior, I think the one of the things I noticed is one of the unit that has the bathroom or one of the bedroom has no vent or the air conditioning vent, or like or those fan that kind of I think that or like either you had to have a vent or have a window. I think Texas had to have that. So there's no vent that, and I think they're worried there's a moist buildup. So they're one. So that's I was just waiting for the official report, see what's what they said. But based on the initial report, I think we wanted to have owner fix at least install some kind of vent for those
Mhm.
those those room so that one of the bedroom and one of the bathroom. So that
Did they recommend a mold inspection? Did they think there was enough moisture there for that? They would have
no,
so.
they didn't inspect. They don't said about more inspection. There's no obvious sign for the more infection, but they were worried that if the vent is not open and those, like, let's say in the bathroom, those moistures can build up and cause mold.
Yeah,
um
right.
so that's something like it's not happening right now, but it can happen
Mhm.
if we're not addressed.
Did you
uh
say you had a contractor with you today, or the contractors or the inspector's also a contractor?
no, it's inspector. There's no
Oh,
contract.
okay, okay.
Inspector. um
So are you going to order a termite report?
I think so. I think that's I think it's included, in fact, that they're going to, yeah,
Yeah.
termite.
Okay.
Yeah.
With the inspector. Okay, yeah, that's great. That's great. I had a termite inspection done on a property, and I mean it was so bad we ended up canceling. But this is, I'm sure, fine. I'm just saying it's important, and I never would have expected it to come out that way. So so that's great that you're having that done. Good. And your inspection contingency is till September 12th, I believe it is. So you have time to do all of this.
Yeah.
And once you
Yeah.
get the report, send it over, and we can take a look and
Okay.
give our opinion as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. So I think the option period is to September 12th, I would say. September 12th. So we're based on this inspections, we're gonna see what we need to have owner do.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, so that's what we are doing right now. And we're
Great.
The other
drafting.
option, if the owner doesn't want to deal with it, you can always retrade and ask for some, extra money off or something like that too. So,
Reduce
Right.
the price.
yeah.
Yeah.
It is nice. That's another way. Okay. And then the
Great.
It's not so
survey.
much like a primary house where you want the things fixed before you buy. Sometimes you just take off some price to move forward if you know you're going to be rehabbing some of the units anyway with your own contractor. So it all depends.
I have a question. If there's a if there's a an uncertainty about the foundation, would it be standard to order or have the contractor or someone test the foundation in terms of like the soil? If the soil is causing the foundation to shift, I've read about that. Is that something standard that people would do at like a duplex or like a multifamily unit?
So it's something you can consider. We've had a lot of properties that on the inspection report, there's been some foundation issues. Foundation sounds very scary. It doesn't have to be something big that needs, major repairs, but I would definitely ask the inspector to look into that further. So Zan, I don't know how far and much he went into it. Some inspectors, that's all they really, that's their specialty. So they might sub out to a different inspector or something if there's a big issue. We've walked away from one property before when the foundation was too much of an issue. We would have had to repair an entire side, like retaining wall, which was too much. Versus we've had foundation issues where you just need one extra beam in the basement and that's it. So it's
That's
a
something
a lot
abnormal.
of gray area there.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean, they can even incorporate like a discount on the asking price, and you can
Yeah,
even.
depending on how much the repair is. Yeah.
Seen that, I haven't personally done this, but I've seen a number of investors that I've worked with who will know, okay, ahead of time, it's going to be $30,000 in repairs, and they know it's a burr strategy. And so they just get it knocked off the price, and it's not something that's repaired prior to close. It's a very
We
different process than
Yeah.
a primary residence.
Yeah, we a lot of times will take our inspectors with on inspection or our contractors with on inspection day so that they can walk through and obviously we're starting to use the same contractors more and more. So like Lauren said, they'll be like, yeah, this is going to be X amount. So we like to have our contractors there on inspection day. Obviously, you're not going to have that relationship when you're first starting, but as you start to get more properties.
Yeah, so uh I think the team, well, I would be I'm asking my real estate agent to recommend some contractor So she's kind of very conservative because some of the contractors she recommended do a good job for her client, and then they did not so good job for the other client. So it's some kind of not necessary order recommended the contractor actually doing good job. So I want to give it a little try, maybe provide little small project for contract, see if that they do a good job, and we can
Make sure they show up and they actually get the project done. Yeah. Before you hand the keys to the whole house and they say it's going to be a $200,000 rehab, and then yeah.
Yeah.
But then
Exactly.
if you end up wanting extra or other contractors, do email Somrita, who I connected you to, and,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't made up to her event. I was just in the middle of the work week, but
Yeah.
I think there is a monthly some
Yeah.
kind of meetup, so I try to make on next week.
Yes, and
Yeah, it
she
looks like
invites
from
a
the
lot of
pictures,
local
they look
investors. So you'll be able to meet people and ask if they have contractor recommendations,
Yep.
even if you don't need anyone right now. It's always
Right.
helpful to go to those, and yeah. So that's and she, even if you don't go, if you email her and say I'm looking for a contractor, I guarantee she knows someone to connect you to locally.
And a lot of times contractors will go to those meetups too, the good
Mm.
ones that want to get their name out.
Right.
All right, that's awesome.
Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
You answered my question, but
Oh no, Jose. Sorry, Jose. Did that answer your question?
Oh, yes, it did. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, great. All right. So we just want to do a deal check-in because I'm pretty excited. We obviously we just spoke through Zan's. Erica, have you heard anything about the property you put an property you put an offer on? You're muted.
Sorry. No, I haven't heard yet.
Okay.
Hopefully by this weekend.
So for some background, guys, I've done some one-on-one sessions with Erica, and she actually has a significant amount of cash in syndication, that in a passive syndication. And so for her, her ideal situation was buying a primary resident with an income component, maybe with another
House hacking.
rent out. Yeah, house hacking, exactly. So we talked through some options, and so anyways, she said rather than start with a full-on rental, she'd rather start with locking in a primary residence for her, given that she's already deployed quite a bit into a syndication. So she put an offer on one this week, which is great, and that's I guess she's just waiting to hear. So Erica, you have to keep us updated.
Will do.
And then, oh, sorry, I just want to go through some things and obviously hear if I missed anything. But Liza, I connected her with my property manager in Tennessee, just outside of Nashville. And Liza knows Nashville really well. So she's already knows the neighborhood she wants to invest in. And I connected her with my property manager out there, who is a specialist in that neighborhood. It's Clarksville, Tennessee. And so I've been excited to see their exchanges this week. And then Jose, I know you found that foreclosure property. We're going to talk about markets after this. So we can go through that. And then
we can pull that property up. You had the address, right, Jose? We can pull that up on PropStream to see what information we can get from it.
Yes, I was trying to get more details, but I guess I need like a registration, like a subscription, and
so we can pull up what we can on PropStream to see when it was bought, if there's mortgage and everything. So we can do that tonight.
And it sounds like Lindsay pulled 261 sellers to Junko, and it's the same idea, 261 properties that met her criteria. And it sounds like Junko is going to be sending out mailers this weekend. Is that right? Yeah.
The Junko wanted to look in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, which is right outside of Philadelphia area. She wanted 2 to 4 units, owned in an individual's name, kind of the traditional mom and pop. So just not in an LLC, 10 plus years of ownership, 80% plus equity. And there's a lot of properties, 261 that met that criteria. So, that's not even tapping into the 5+ unit commercial, not tapping into the ones with LLCs, not tapping into the ones that might've bought 2 years ago and they don't want to be landlords. So there's a lot of properties out there. So fingers crossed, Junko, your hands are going to get cramped. And if anybody wants me to pull a list on PropStream for them in a target market, I can do that too, and send the Excel file. But then you guys have the hard part of labeling all the envelopes.
And I have a question. Still, we can't really register PropStream, right? Because I couldn't really find it. And I also email.
Stream, so yeah, they have given me the back and forth runaround for Prop Finder Online. And they said, oh, we need you guys to be affiliates. And I was like, well, how did we even get this then? I mean, we've had it for years. I'm like, you're not answering my question. And they're like, well, you can use PropStream. I'm like, PropStream is the exact same data. It's just more per month. So just today, they answered another one of my emails saying, oh, you can call this number. And I was working today, so I didn't have time. So I have off tomorrow from the hospital. I'm going to call them and see if we can get some type of group discount or something, even for, classes going forward. But Prop Stream, you can, but it's a little bit more expensive than the $50 we pay a month for the same software called Prop Finder Online.
So in the meantime, as Lindsay said, if you have a market, she can pull it for you like she did for Junko.
Yeah.
And so please keep in touch, or like let us know if there's any other updates we're missing. Please let us know. Okay, so today I'm going to talk for a second, because I like doing this, about just a personal development book recommendation and why. There is new portal content. We're going to have a market and operator discussion. Jose, you kind of prompted that today. I'm really glad you sent that today. So we'll talk about a market discussion. And then this is the week of, we talk about passive investing. So we're going to go through tear sheets and offer memorandum. And I think it's really important, even if you plan to be active and you don't want to invest passively, it's really important to understand the opportunities around passive investing. Because I'll tell you, my passive investments are outperforming the investments I made on my own from a return standpoint for my turnkey stuff. We're not talking about burst strategy. I'm talking about just the turnkey stuff. So if you're planning on buying something turnkey, just compare the returns you're getting next to what we're going to show here. Again, even if you don't plan to invest passively. So before we get into everything, I want to remind you guys, this is more of a book recommendation. The 10X is easier than 2X. I'm not sure if you've heard of it. It's definitely one of the best books I've ever read. I read it a while back, but it's a really, really amazing message. And essentially what it says is 10X is easier than 2X. So I'll give an example because that's the easiest way to explain it. Let's say you're a doctor, right? Or a nurse, right? You can go and you can do more hours clinically. You can say, screw having a life. I'm going to do more hours clinically and pound and pound and pound and do more hours clinically. And you may 2X your income. You may do that. But if you want to 10X your income, you're never going to do it pounding hard in the same way. In order to 10X your income, you need to think and act in a totally different way. Jose, you have a 10X mindset already, but you're doing the locums on top of your PA work, right? You have a recruiting business. That's exactly the kind of thing. So you took your knowledge and your primary thing and you applied it to another business. And that's way more of that's a 10X type of decision, a 10X jump. So that's an example. So you all being on this call and doing this work to educate yourself in this way is another 10X decision. You can continue to grind in the way that you're doing, or you can educate yourself to do something that's more of a 10X, a different type of mood. Essentially, if you want to 10X, you need to think and behave in a different way. Whereas if you want a 2X, you could probably grind harder doing exactly what you're doing and get to a 2X. So it's a really great book, and I just wanted to recommend it to you because, again, the reason why you're all on this call is because you're looking to behave and believe and do different things, which is a 10X move. Okay, new portal content, lesson 5.2.1. We walk through a profit and loss statement, balance sheet review, essentially walk through a quarterly communication from a syndication so that you can see what that looks like. Erica, definitely want you to look at that because I know communication for your current syndication has been a big point of contention. And that's why Erica and I met, by the way. She reached out to me on Instagram and said, I think my syndication is going awry. Can you help me? And that's how she and I even met. So we've communicated a lot about it. So definitely, Erica, all of you, but watch this if you're thinking about investing passively. Okay, we're going to get into choosing a market. This is ignited by a conversation that we had with Jose today, actually. So I wanted to add it in. Jose was thinking about different markets to choose from, and this is something that we're heading into a recession. I think everyone's pretty clear on that. The yield curve is inverting. The yield curve is flattening, which means that a recession is imminent. We don't know how bad it's going to be. Nobody knows how bad it's going to be, but we do know that the Midwest, leads the market in terms of rental growth. And while we're still seeing a lot of these big markets are seeing supply and demand issues, oversupply because money was so cheap for so long, so everyone was building, and then they oversupplied these markets, and now there's too many apartments online. There's too many apartments available, so people are having to lower their rents in order to get a person in the rental. So I wanted to show you guys this graph because I know some of you have honed in on the markets that you want, and this is only showing some of the big markets. But I really wanted to show you this to bear in mind that the market you go into, you want to make sure there's not an oversupply. I zoomed in here. You want to make sure there's not an oversupply of apartments or units, because when you get in there, you don't want to base your rental comps off of rent here, where in reality, there's too many rental units on the market and rents are softening. So I wanted to share this particularly. You don't need to invest in the Midwest. That's not why I'm sharing this. Why I'm sharing this is to be really mindful of the fact that there is negative rent growth in some markets. My property in Florida, it's in the Tampa area, which is nice and over here. There has been tremendous softening, and I'm grateful I have a long-term lease with the tenant that's put a lot into the property, and I'm confident it will be okay. But there's been a lot of rental. I would not buy another rental there right now, certainly not right now. So I think it's important that you really know what's happening in the market, especially if you're new. Jose, if you're entering, let's go ahead and stay on the left side of this graph, or beyond, just into places where there has not been an oversupply of rentals in the market, in the space. Does that make sense?
And that doesn't mean you can't find good deals in those markets, but if you're just looking for a brand new market to get into and you don't have a specific tie or boots on the ground there or something already, I would avoid those ones on the right to start without having ties and relationships there to begin with.
Laura, what sources are you using to pull all this data?
This is I have to look. I mean, I just do from a lot of different places. CoStar has a lot of this information. CoStar is a paid service though.
CoStar?
CoStar, COSTAR, but that's a paid service.
Yeah, and that can be like $400 or $500 a month on the cheap end.
Exactly. So I really don't. The reason why I hesitate to say is I just don't recommend spending that kind of money on data collection when you're just starting out. Yeah. It just doesn't make sense. I think you can find out quite a bit by just looking at trends on Zillow, even rental trends. Excuse me 1 second, guys. 1 second.
Zillow.
The kids are coming in.
How quickly those rent ratio can change? Because I remember a few years ago, Austin was like their rent was much rapidly increased. Now it's really in the deep.
It's the pendulum, right? Everybody raced in there to that new market, started overbuilding and everything like that. Now the pendulum has swung the other way. So, I mean, like Lauren mentioned, Tampa, yeah, it's not great right now, but as those there's more and more apartments available, the prices are going to drop. Those current owners are going to, in the future probably become more desperate to sell. So then that term market cycle, that's just it. It's a market cycle. So this will definitely change in the future, but as it is right now, this is what it looks like.
And exactly. And this is why I wanted to show you this right now. This is very much, I'm very confident that long-term, Tampa, for example, is going to be a great market. Yeah. Florida's getting 1,500 new residents a day. This oversupply of inventory will be absorbed by the market, by the demand over time. But if you're, as we just said, if you're looking to get in right now, getting into a market that's not oversaturated, it's just prudent. So, but I'm very confident all of these markets will shake out and it will kind of go back to equilibrium. Los Angeles was on an insane run of rent growth. And so for it to have some softening and decline in rent growth, and again, this is decline in rent growth. So it's not, it just means that we're not growing at the insanely high rapid rate that we were before. Instead of growing at 10%, we're growing at 2%, which is way more healthy. Does all that make sense? So we also want to go through, like Jose, I know that you're kind of poking around at some markets. Lindsay actually has some properties in her area that she said are cash flowing and actually pretty good. So I just want to, and for those of you that don't know, Lindsay lives in an area that made, I think it was top 20 fastest growing areas in the country. It's
Yeah,
so
it made even on Bigger Pockets just this summer, it was top 10 best places to invest. And I'm like, no, don't put that out there. I don't want all these new investors coming in. It was Scranton, Pennsylvania, which is Lackawanna. Junko, you and I had talked about this. And I was just playing around because I had mentioned that 60 unit that we're working on, hopefully getting under contract. And through that, this guy has a 6 unit, which is 2 blocks away from another 6 unit we're about to close on in Kingston. And we had gone years and years without buying anything on market. Now we're about to close on something we found on market. Didn't buy it for the list price. So that's just a big pointer. Just because it's listed doesn't mean that's what it's going to sell for. And this other guy, well, I can show you which one too. This 6 unit with the 60 unit guy, it was listed for 645. Michael did a great underwriting on it. I talked to him and the broker, and I basically said, yeah, at the list price, your cap rate's 5%. That's for like a triple net, like CVS or something. So like that's out ridiculous. The DSCR at his list point price was 0.81. And if you remember from underwriting, banks aren't going to even loan if it's less than 1.25. So there was education back to the seller and the broker as well. And when I said, you know, what we can offer, it's 455, not 645. He's like, okay. I'm like, oh, so there's $200,000 off based on what's on the MLS, right? So anyway, through that today, I'm like, let me just see what else is listed on the MLS, because usually we're not buying. And there's actually a lot in this town we're buying, which is 10 minutes from our primary home here in Kingston. So Lauren,
want to share your screen, Lindsay?
Yeah, let me share my screen here so I can show you some of the stuff that's on market in Kingston. There we go.
Kingston is a city or a county?
Kingston is, so it's in Luzerne County, Pennsylvania, and Kingston is a town. It's between where we have our primary house in Dallas, Pennsylvania, and then the actual city of Wilkes-Barre, right on my way to work. Really nice income area, a lot of good Jewish population. They have a lot of money in that area, basically, some really good schools and school districts here. And the best part is, compared to a lot of these places that, you know, we've seen you guys looking, you can get prices on the MLS that are even cash flowing for now. Can you see my list on realtor.com here?
Yes.
Okay, so let me go. This is in Dallas. Let me just pull up some of these multifamily ones here. So this is something that's in West Pittston, which is a little bit closer to the hospital I work at. West Pittston is a nice town, a lot of good restaurants and stuff. Not quite as high as an income as Kingston, but still a really nice area. So this is an 8-unit 4-bath. Again, these are listed. This is actually new too. It's only been on realtor.com one day for just under 400,000. You come down here, this is a 4-unit, so it's less than $100,000. So these are 2-bed, 1-bath. I know, Lauren, you know, he says the 2-bed, 2-bath. Again, I'm okay with the 1-bath. So 2 beds, 1-bath each. Corner Street, West Pittston, about 900 square feet, so not huge, but also not super tiny. All utilities separated already. That's great. Several long-term tenants already. Yeah, it doesn't say anything about the NOI here. Sometimes they'll place that, sometimes not. But, you know, really, you know, cute little 4-unit house. They tile ceiling, so not my favorite, but, you know, old kitchen, so dated, right? Clearly people are living in there. It's not, you know, completely trashed. Some nice, probably original hardwood floors. You know, the walls aren't terrible. Again, dated kitchens here, dated bathrooms. So definitely some room to improve, but you wouldn't have to put in so much money because, again, it's a rental. You're not living there. But that just shows you, you know, there's definitely this, if I was starting out and, you know, looking to get into a market, I would definitely reach out to the realtor, say, hey, you know, what's the rent roll like here? Give me some more information, because again, less than $100,000 per unit here. And I know personally know this area, it's not bad. Here's one so this is Wilkes-Barre, Cary Ave. So this is near some Wilkes-Barre University, King's College. So pretty good area here. This is a 12-bed, 2.5 bath, 400,000. So this is actually so this is a 2-unit, 6 beds on each side. My guess is that they're using this for student housing here. So 6 beds, 1.5 baths. 4 parking spaces. So we could even do like a quick cash flow calculator here. Tenants pay all utilities, so that's great. Brand new kitchen, so we can look at the pictures here. With
And
that,
return,
I'm sorry.
and a quick question. A return is always one person on these properties, the one you're looking at right now?
The ones that
Or
I'm
is-
looking at, I want at least that, yeah. So
Oh,
basically, I mean, right here it says current NOI 37,500. So you drop it by $20,000 and you're at the 1%. And like this is all updated, right? So the CapEx you're putting in here, it's minimum, right? I mean, this is very, very nice. So they've
And-
put in the work, and that's probably why they flipped it and are listing it at. But I mean, the list price for this, when you're not gonna have to put work in, it's not bad at all.
And Lindsay, how do you do
I'm sorry, your mic cut off. Or what did you say? How do I do what? We can't hear you. Oh,
Can
there
you
go.
hear?
Now I can, yeah. Oh, you're frozen. Having technical difficulties.
While we wait for him to come back, I'm going to do a quick cash flow calculator on this. What's the income on this again?
So
Guys, can you hear me?
oh, now you can. Yeah, you got frozen there. We couldn't hear you. Oh, did he drop off? I think he's coming back on. So
Can you hear me?
yeah, now we can.
Yeah. Quick question. Let's suppose this property is 400,000. Let's suppose to upgrade, you spend for 400,000, one person is going to be $4,000, our rental income, what we are looking at. Let's suppose how do you analyze that? Let's suppose if you buy from the market and you said, okay, I'm going to put at least $100,000, to upgrade all the units. How do you analyze? What is a pattern of analyzing how much you're going to spend on it? And then after spend on it, it's going to be around 500,000 for you, and you can still make 5% or 1% of it.
So you can kind of guesstimate even based on the pictures and talking to the broker initially, asking for, CapEx. And as you start to do more projects, you'll get a little bit more comfortable about how much it's going to cost per square foot to renovate, say, the whole building for a light versus medium versus heavy. They used to say $10 square foot for a light rehab, 20 square foot for a medium, 30 square foot for a heavy. That was, 7 years ago when we started. It's definitely more expensive than that, but it's still a good ballpark range. If you think, okay, I just need to paint, replace, or shampoo the carpets for a very light rehab versus it's a full gut job renovation based on the square foot, like some of these properties Michael and I do. This one, and I misspoke. I saw the current NOI 37,500, but the actual income, it's 42,000 per year gross. So that is more than the 1% rule here. It's listed at 400, and the total is $42,000. So that's good. So Lauren, if you have your calculator up,
And
you do, yeah. Oh, Lauren, you're muted. You're muted.
Sorry about that. To go back to what you were saying, generally, if you're talking to a contractor and you're trying to figure out what the costs are, it varies tremendously from by market. But if, let's say you're talking to a property manager and you're trying to get an understanding, or you're talking to a contractor and you're trying to understand to use the right language, ask them, in this market or in this area, what's it going to cost to do a light rehab? What's it going to cost to do a medium rehab? What's it going to cost to do a heavy one? And it's cost per square foot is normally the way you can quickly calculate it. So always just kind of use that language. It's what's the cost per square foot for a medium rehab? Then they'll kind of understand what you're saying. And
again, it's kind of a basic blanket thing, just like the 1%, 2% rule, cost per square foot, that can vary depending on what you find. But obviously you'll get a little bit more teed down. Like I said, for the walkthroughs or especially inspections, we like to bring a contractor or especially give the inspection report to the contractors, so we kind of are all on the same page and know where to go. And it's going to depend on the fixtures too. Like this person, they put in media to kind of, I wouldn't say this luxury, but they made it look very, very nice on this rehab. Do you have the cash flow calculator, Lauren?
Yeah. Any idea what the property taxes are? Did you say it on there?
Property taxes, it says 2,600, so that's not bad. Sewer, 600. Insurance, 1,000. They don't have a property management fee on here, but I'd put 8%. That's just kind of, you know, baseline here, really, really ballpark. That's all they have here for expenses and stuff.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. I'll share it with you guys. Yeah. So yeah, your market does cash flow.
It's the market is great. So, and this is just crazy because, you know, for a lot of people on this call here, it's like, wow, why isn't everybody buying this? Well, you can get even better deals in this area too, but it's definitely a cash flowing market here where we live, which is great.
Yeah. So if you're, I mean, Jose, if you're deciding on a market and you're in New York, and I mean, this is fairly relatively close to you.
Yeah, it's
than,
2 hour drive.
Atlanta.
It's not far.
So why don't you stop sharing, Lindsay, and I'll share my screen.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I have some other one after we do this. There's some other ones that I can show here too. That's in Kingston, which again is where we're actively buying.
We might need to have a talk after this, Lindsay. That's pretty good.
Well, Laura, this other one. So on that 6 unit, when we put that 455 offer, and he said, "Yeah, I'm interested." He said, "Oh, I have a 7 unit too." So now we're looking at both of them for 900. We'll talk.
That's amazing. I honestly, guys, I underwrite properties all over the country all day long, and this is very unusual. And a lot of you are.
But it's not for my market. That's the thing. It's so.
Oh, right. Unusual if you're talking nationwide. So.
Yeah.
Monthly rent average 3,500, adding in an 8% vacancy loss, purchase price 400 if you're putting 25,000 down, loan amount, and then you've got your debt service at 6.4%, which again, if things go the way they continue to go, this is going to be, you know, go down to probably 5% in the next couple of years. Property taxes, insurance, utilities. So we're talking about $560 a month in cash flow, 6% return on capital. But I mean, which is very good because you get the depreciation, and then, again, this is tax free with after expenses, depreciation, etc. So you have to bear that in mind. But again, if interest rates drop to 5%, you've just improved your cash flow tremendously. So you know, just you always want to buy, right? You want to buy it at cash flowing, but just have that as part of your strategy. But these are great numbers. So if anyone's kind of waffling on what markets to go to, I'd say having a conversation.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Do you also add, let's suppose if we spend on a rehab, let's suppose $50,000 or $100,000 on it, you know, it's already been included, you know?
So on the underwriting that you'll be doing, yes, you definitely include that on your what we call pro forma, what you're going to expect to be getting. Yeah.
And
so
if you're up here, you can always put that under rehab, you know, as part of your cash in the deal. And what I just added here,
Okay.
Obviously that takes you down to 4%.
Okay, but the underwriting we are looking at, we have not put the rehab cost in it, right?
Not on that one, because that one looks pretty rehabbed already. So you're really not gonna, you know, need to do anything on that.
Okay. But whenever we do all these underwritings, make sure whatever the rehab cost, we make sure we add the rehab cost.
Yep.
Yes.
And then this one, so this is a really good comp. So this is on Pierce Street in Kingston. We are literally buying a 6 unit on Pierce Street, the same one in Kingston, in 2 weeks. Like, we're literally buying on this street. So this just shows this is where I am buying, right? This is on market. This is not the one we're buying.
Are you showing your screen right now?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Go ahead. I'm scared.
Okay, can you guys see this building or no? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, this is a 7-bedroom, 5-bath, 5 unit. So this is a 5-unit property. So again, less than $100,000 a unit, fully occupied, 3 units on the first floor, 2 on the second floor, 2 gas heating, separate electric. So it looks like, it doesn't say if they're doing like a rubs, or are they billing back for the gas on the tenants, or are they just paying for it? So this isn't completely separated. Tenants are on a month-to-month lease. So we can look at some pictures. So we have a yard, which is nice. Dated, you know, some tile ceilings, but you know, this is something Michael and I would definitely put some rehab into, like, again, dated, but it's, you know, clean. Now this is obviously probably just showing 1 unit, and a lot of times they'll show the nicest looking unit for the MLS. So this is something you're going to ask more questions, you're going to go to. But again, we like a rehab project. This is where you can get the most value. So this 5-unit property. You know, it says fully occupied, so the rental units aren't so bad that people can't live there, right? Like it's occupied. So again, this is like we're buying on this street. So this is something that people looking to get into a new market, that's potential, right? Here's another one in Kingston. Again, same town that we like live 10 minutes from. We're buying here. This is a 5-bed, 1-bath, 5-unit. Again, less than $100,000, but this is all obviously 1-bed, 1-bath. 5 off-street parking spaces, so that's great. Each apartment has its own parking space. Each unit 3 rooms, 1 bedroom, 1 bath, modern kitchens, unfinished basement. So let's just look at some properties here. Political stuff aside, you know, it doesn't look so bad. The deck's going up there. Well, they don't have any other properties. So again, who knows? You'd have to look out, reach out and see more information, but you know, not horrible. This one, multifamily, 5-bed, 2-bath, 2 large mixed use building in Kingston, 2 parking lots, newly renovated apartments, modern kitchens and bathrooms, 7 to 8 units. So this is a pretty big one, 7 to 8 units, you know, again, less than $100,000 a unit. 4 spacious apartments each, 2 to 4. Looks like there's a restaurant bar here too. Each unit has 1 to 2 bathrooms. Sale includes all restaurant equipment, coolers. So we like flat roofs on big buildings. Our big 10 unit has flat roofs. These are actually much easier to maintain. So it looks like that. So, oh, nice parking lot. Looks like they recently redid that. So they put some work into it. That's definitely a brand new parking lot. Oh, wow. So I didn't click through all these pictures. Oh, this is a brand new listing too. 3 hours ago, this was put on. So this is a brand new listing here. So this must have been a rehab project that they did on their own and are now relisting to sell. But units are clean, obviously. Yeah, this is, they just finished this. So some carpets in the bedrooms. Again, you know, this is a big multifamily for only $725,000, which is upgraded. And these are, again, just examples, like you can make money in this market that we're in. Okay. Here's another one, 6-bed, 2,500. Oh, this is a duplex, potential to convert to a 3-unit, needs some TLC. So this one's just, you know, over $100,000 a unit, but looks, you know, kind of nice little backyard.
I think the moral of the story is that, you know, it used to be that really off market were where the deals were. But in this market and this kind of pre-recession or recessionary period, you can still find some deals on market. You know, obviously there's always great ones like the foreclosure you found, Jose. I mean, I don't know anything about it, but I'm saying as far as price wise, but it's you know, this is an avenue as well. So I think the key is just getting into the right market at the right time. And you know, so we just wanted to go through this with you guys today. We can move.
Sorry, last one. This one's I'm actually interested in this one too. Is this? Yeah, this one's new too. So this is 7 units in West Side Sawyersville. So this is nice. So 7 units, and look at these. Like these are nice. These are like clearly very new, redone, like pretty nice. So 7 units at $625. So yeah, just putting it out there. You know, there's some other markets. You know, Michael and I are local here too. So if anybody's interested in, you know, looking at any of these, or, you know, even partnering or something, it's not a bad area to look at. I'll just close some of the. This is again another 4-unit listed at $350. And again, just because that's the list price doesn't mean that's what you're going to buy it for. So you can get a lot of cash flowing properties here in this area. So yeah, I'll stop screen sharing. But
that's pretty nice.
Yeah, it's great. So I'm gonna share mine now. We'll hop back into 1 second.
And then whenever you, quick question, whenever you buy the properties, let's suppose if you like the property, do you personally like to visit the property before you put the final offer, or you just trust your team, or how it works for you guys with your experience?
So at the very beginning, we were buying absolute dumps, like basically sight unseen, but we were getting them for so cheap. It's like, okay, you know, the worst that's going to happen is we'll lose that money on the investment. Now, yeah, we're definitely looking at the properties that we're putting the offers in on.
And I'm not
these local ones. Like I'm so local, of course I'm going to drive 10 minutes to go see the place on my way to work or on the way home, you know.
Irfan, as someone who doesn't invest where I live, I rarely see it before I get it under contract. It's just, I mean, I'm not going to fly somewhere. I'm not going to drive 4 hours. I know. Yeah. And if it's something that you feel like, oh, I need a local person to look at it beforehand, you can. But remember, these contracts are just a handshake. It's not, oh, we're legally bound. You can always cancel if you get in there and you're like, never mind. So if you find a deal, let's say you love that threeplex, you could put an offer on it and then send out an inspector or ask Lindsay to help you or something like that. So no, for me as someone who doesn't invest where I live, I rarely will go see it unless I have it under contract.
And the realtor that you'll use if you're, starting in a new market, they can do a Zoom walkthrough with you or FaceTime. Like you can still see it, and you can, that book, The Long Distance Investor, right? The whole book's about buying and never seeing the property yourself. And it's very doable.
Yeah, because that's what I was thinking. Sitting in Texas, looking into Pennsylvania or Kansas, we have to trust someone down there, right? Inspector or someone who can really guide us through. And there are certain things. Let's suppose buying a property like a slab, a foundation, a roof. There is certain definitely things we need to look for before we make our final decision, right? And there is do you like as a new investor, there is a list. Do you guys always look for like a foundation, roofing? These are the main core items we always need to look for, no matter what we are physically present or we are going through the contract. What are the points we need to cover before we make our mind?
So, I mean, there's the big ones like the HVAC system, the water tanks, the roof, the foundation, the windows. Those are some of the real big ones that we want to look at. I mean, the carpet, the floors, the ceilings, the walls, those are easy fixes, right? But if it's a huge roof repair or lots of mold, that's another big one. Water damage, those are some of the main ones. But all these properties we're looking at now, we always do an inspection. Those are basics that any inspector is going to do. And
always have an inspector. I mean, maybe down the line when you're just that savvy and you don't care because you're going to replace a part anyways, then maybe not. But
even with those, we still get the inspections, and it's a good way in your clauses to walk away too. You want to have that too. So even if you find something better, like in your due diligence period, you can be like, oh yeah, the roof wasn't what I thought. You can back away and you won't lose your hard money too. So you want to have as many clauses as you can, bank financing clause, inspection clause, to get.
That's what we were just speaking to Zan about, because he's got till September 12th to cancel and get his earnest money back. So that's why that inspection contingency is really important.
And now since you guys.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, so so I think module was like 4.1, 1.1. I think we did like a single home, how you calculate the value of after rehab. I think it was like
after repair value, ARV.
Is that yes? So is that the same thing as multifamily too? So you have to kind of find the same, like if I'm looking for fourplex, then you find fourplex, same not the age, same year that it was built.
Yes.
So that's kind of same concept.
For fourplex and low and smaller.
Yeah,
that's
because
exactly
remember, the 1 to 4 units are still single family in the lending world of banking. So it's based on the comparables, the comps. That 1 extra unit, that 5 units. So like I just showed in Kingston, there are 5, 6, 7 units available. That's based on your NOI. That's when you can go in, bump the rents up, put in pet fees, and every little dollar of your NOI increases the building value that then you can go refinance when the rates drop or something, and you can roll your money faster in general with those.
And then you determine like the rent is under rent is you compare the price, like let's say you go I have like rentmeter.com and I put in like a 2-bedroom, 1 bathroom, and this price is a little bit low. That's how you kind of determine.
Yep. Or you definitely Renometer. You can literally type in Zillow 2-bed, 1-bath, Kingston, PA, see what things are listed for comparables, and you can say, oh, mine has newer appliances, I can probably bump it up more. So yeah, you can do some of your own research to see that, to get the ARV too. And or if it's a new market and you have no idea too, ask the realtors, ask the property managers.
I really rely on my realtors and property managers because I invest out of state. So yeah, definitely do that.
And when you guys pick the property, there is always like you don't go back more than 20 years old or 30 years old property. There is any kind of bracket you always look into it in terms of construction?
Well, some of our partners are much more conservative and won't invest more than like 20, 30 years old. Michael and I have bought some buildings from the 1800s. I would not suggest that because, but my mom's house, like I was born there, I grew up there. It was the original part was built in the 1700s. Like, so it doesn't mean you can't live there, but you're more likely to run into things that are going to need replacing and significant capex the older they get. 1960s, 70s are a cutoff for a lot of people, I'd say, but
Yeah, it
But
really depends
as
on
your
the size. You know, these large apartment buildings, which Lindsay just mentioned, you know, we invested in with some of our partners. You know, when you have a 150 unit apartment building that's 60 years old, it's like, you know, there's a lot that can go wrong and be catastrophic. When you're talking about a fourplex that may have been built in 1965, you know, you could probably, it's okay, like you get around it. So to me, it also really depends on the size. If Lindsay came to me with a 5 unit built in 65, I would probably go for that. If it was a 100 unit built in 1965, I'd probably be like, I'm not interested. So,
but but as a rule of thumb, as a beginner, for us, what do you suggest? Don't go beyond 30 years, or if we are buying a single family house or just multi units, what do you suggest as a rule of thumb?
it really depends. I'd probably say 40 years.
40 years?
Yeah.
try
That's
1980 and newer would be, you know, wonderful, and you'd probably have fewer problems. It's just
20.
harder to find some of those in these markets because so
Like
many.
even these one in Kingston's, I doubt any of these were built in 1990, 80s. Like these are kind of some older, I am sure they're probably 60s, 50s, even some of these like multi-units here.
To be honest, if we find a fixer upper that was 1980 and newer in a good market, we're really excited. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
it's gonna be great, you know. So it's just harder to find them. So I just don't. Yes, 1980 and newer is great. I just don't want you to get stuck and use that like as a hard line if you find a great fourplex and that was built in 1970, you know. So
Yes.
you know,
That's where we're going to use your experience. But
Yeah.
as a beginner, what strategy, because I haven't got a chance to ask Zen about it, like what type, when he is buying a property, is he trying to do like a burr, or what strategy as a brand new, just putting your step into the market, what strategy what you guys prefer, and what strategy Zen is going through,
then you want to answer
implementing
that?
right now?
I think I'm looking for the positive cash flow. In terms of Burr will be another thing to consider. And I mean, right now I think hopefully the interest rate will be cut down, and that will be something I'm looking forward that if you cash out refinance, you can refinance to a low interest rate. So that would be something kind of down the line. But the first of all, I think the positive cash flow will be something I'm looking at.
So he's getting positive cash flow right away, right? Whereas the Burr strategy, I think Zen's fourplex is too nice for the Burr strategy. Generally speaking, you need it to be pretty rough, so you can buy at this massive discount.
Burr doesn't have to be like full gut jobs. I mean, certainly that's what Michael and I do with a lot of our properties. But as you just saw in a lot of those Pittston, Kingston properties, they're cash flowing, they're livable, but they can use rehab too. So you can still force that up. And if you buy it now, rehab it, and then like Zan said, as the rates are dropping, those are all pretty good burrs, other than maybe that one 6 bedroom duplex, which looks pretty done already, and it's probably student housing rental. Didn't say that, but
Okay, it's mostly depend on the property, what property we're buying, and then based on that, we can strategize accordingly.
yep, yep.
Yeah, I think the one that Zan's buying, you know, it's a great first buy because it's not dependent on the Burr strategy. It's not dependent on anything because he's buying it and it's cash flowing, and so it's not dependent on some, you know, ornate, complicated strategy. It's going to work for him from day one, and then he'll be able to, as the units turn, as tenants move out, he can rehab and push up the rents just slowly, but it's not something that he necessarily is going to go in and have to do in order to get it to cash flow.
I have one more question. Um, for let's say college town or whatever, like if the property is close to university or something, what is the demand for students? Is that like 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom, or like are they more looking for 1 bedroom, one bath? What's like a demand for those like college students?
Yeah, it depends. College students in general tend to be a little less picky, so that's why I'm pretty sure that 6 bedroom each is a student housing, because they can get away with 1 bedroom each, or sometimes they'll rent it by the room or by the student. They can put a bunk bed in and $500 per student. So and that'll depend how nice it is, what utilities are included, and how close to the university. There's a couple in Wilkes-Barre that we had looked at in the past. We were beat out on a bidding war, but they were luxury student housing, so they had everything included. It was like a flat fee, like $800 a month. But college students aren't going to care, so they'll let the windows open and turn the heat up, all the way in the winter and stuff too. But they could say luxury because it was very nice kitchens. They had a small gym room and everything. And a lot of times parents just want to cut one check a month and not worry about it, and not worry about the electricity and utilities. So again, it depends on what type of value play you want with it, and what's included and how close to the university.
Right.
A lot of times those will be rented out by bedroom. And when we have done and do student housing, yeah, it's by the bedroom that we're renting them.
I see. Thank you.
All right, I will share. This is one last slide I have, just to bring us back on choosing a market. Although if anyone else has any questions, please obviously let us know. But kind of bringing it back to the passive investing side of things. When you're choosing a market, if you're investing passively, you really want to make sure that if you're not familiar with the market really intimately, you want to make sure the operator you're investing with is. And I'm just going to share this example because someone I know is going through this right now, where she invested with an operator in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and that operator lives in California. So he didn't intimately understand the Kalamazoo market. So he raised money from passive investors to buy these properties, but it's been a fiasco because nobody really has any intimate understanding of the Kalamazoo, Michigan market. So even no matter how many property managers they've hired, it really hasn't been able to pan out, because frankly, he bought in a place that wasn't a good part of Kalamazoo. But because he didn't know the market very well, he bought there anyways. And I mean, it's been a really bad, rough road for all the investors. So I just want to make sure. Oh, yes, Jose.
Oh, just when you're done, I just have a question.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
For that property, this is for Lindsay. The property that you have in Pennsylvania, is your plan to hold them for like 5 to 8 years and then sell, or long term? Or how do you mix your properties?
It depends. So the ones that Michael and I are like own just 100% solo, we really have a buy and hold strategy. We have 1 4 unit locally that we're thinking about maybe selling and buying something bigger. It depends if we get that 60 unit under contract, especially too. When we're doing it with partners as a JV, it's going to depend on what they want to. I'm okay buying and holding. I'm okay buying, rehabbing, and refinancing, and then looking at selling down the road. So again, that depends on the property. I will say we have not sold any of our solo things, Michael and I, except for one single family, which we're buying into this 6 unit that we're closing on this month. So most of our strategy is buy and hold long term because they are cash flowing.
The only way I will sell, Jose, is if I don't like my partners. And
yes, yeah.
Or if I'm going to just sell it and 1031 exchange into a better, bigger property.
Yep.
That's how I look at my portfolio. I'll always, to be honest, my 3 single families that I have rentals, I want to exchange out of those as soon as possible into some bigger properties, more units, more doors.
Also, have you both noticed bigger success when you invest with other investors, like with private investors or with other funds? Have you noticed more success with other other funds?
So it depends. I know at least for myself and probably Lauren, I don't want to speak for you, but the syndications that we're on as GPs and LPs with Sharpline, they're doing great. Some of the other ones, they are now okay. There's one big partner issue that we had with one of the properties. Certainly the ones that we have locally that my husband is managing are doing very, very good. Thank God I don't want to have to divorce him over that, you know. So Lauren, you can speak to your experience from certain, I mean, partners are so important. I can't stress that enough. Good partners are everything.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's that. I mean, I can echo the same thing because it goes back to the partners and you know you're connected to them. So here's one thing about real estate that I love as opposed to every other industry, because I've sold another type of business before. So I can tell you about real estate. The one thing that's really great is that there's always a buyer for real estate. Now, the price depends, but it's way, if you don't like your partners or if there's something, if you don't have the same vision, the same strategies, and you made a mistake maybe in partnering with them, whatever it is, there's always a buyer for real estate and a fairly quick buyer, again, at the right price. Whereas other types of businesses could take a year to sell. So it is one thing, again, that I also really like about real estate. Do you have any other questions around that, Jose?
Oh, none at all. Thank you.
Okay, so right now I'm going to go through a couple of examples just to further what you guys learned in Module 5. I want to show you, I know we're at the hour, so I want to go through these, just a few examples, and I get always happy to schedule time with Lindsay and I if you want to go through anything closer or more fully. But let me show you an example of, this is an example of a tear sheet for a passive investment. So I frequently get these tear sheets from people asking, if I want to invest. So here's an example. I want you to get used to seeing these. Every operator has a different format, but it's the same idea. The tear sheet is a snapshot of the passive investment. So this is from Sharpline Equity. I've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars with them. And this is a 40 unit townhome community. As you can see that down here, 40 unit townhome community. So I literally got this as a text message. Hey, you interested? Text. I'm like, okay. So
Sounds like Marco.
Yeah, exactly. So I immediately look at, all right, what are we looking at? What do I care about? So quick thing, obviously the first thing, where is it? Kansas City, Missouri. All right, I know that market and I'm comfortable there. I have other things there. They're townhomes. Okay, looking here. Oh, they have garages. I mean, that's great. That's great. Okay, so scroll down. Solid returns. I mean, 20%. Most people are thrilled with 20%. I am certainly. And this is the expected annualized rate of return. This is it's real estate. Things could go better. Things could go worse. So it's important to know anytime you get these. This is not an ironclad. No matter what, you're getting these returns. But it's important to know. Okay, based on a 7-year hold, if we were to hold it for 7 years, we can expect 20% annualized returns. And then coming down here, and they expect to refinance in year 2. So what that tells me is there's probably a pretty big value add component to this investment, because the only way that you'd be able to refinance and pull out your capital is if it was some kind of a BRRRR strategy or some sort of really forced appreciation strategy. And then coming over here, expected cash on cash return is 9.5%. So my expectation is that, all right, I'm going to invest $100,000. I should be getting $9,500 a year in cash flow. And then stop me, by the way, if I'm going too fast. Equity multiple 2.5% by the end of the hold period. So we know the hold period is 7 years. So if things go as planned, I invest $100,000. By year 7, I have $250,000. My returns have been $250,000 between the cash flow and the profits. Okay, I'm just going to keep rolling till someone stops me. Mm-hmm. All right, again, it's a 40 unit, Class B. This is what I was sharing with you, Irfan. It's a 1992 build. So a 1992 value add is very exciting, right? Because a lot of those fundamental, like more modern building construction is in place, but they just really need interior cosmetic fixes. And then this particular property, the previous owner didn't take care of the exterior very well. But generally speaking, a 1992 build is great. And most of them are 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,300 square feet with garages. So that's also great. Those tenants tend to stay longer. 3-bed, 2-bath with a garage, like you're gonna get young families, they tend to stay longer. Purchase price, 3.25 million, 81,000 a door, when the comps in the area are being sold for 130,000 a door. That's great too. That means you're getting it at a big discount. And then coming down here, it's 60% occupied. Now, you probably remember from module 4, really most banks will not finance this unless, or won't finance a property unless it's 90% occupied. So a 60% occupied property, my first reaction is, how are you gonna finance this? Like, what bank is gonna finance this? And that would be a question that I would ask pretty early on. The plan is to renovate, occupy, and increase rents. And then my next question is, why is it only 60% occupied? What's wrong with the property? And so quickly, if you just read down, that question is answered. Sharpline Communities is a property, they self-manage, and there's $1 million in capital expenditures they plan to do to this property. And they plan to self-manage and perform the construction themselves. So that's great. Coming down here, rents are 1,000, but after rehab, they'll get 1,300 or more. And as you guys know, Irfan, are you talking?
Yeah, quick question. When you said 60% occupancy, like for banks, there is kind of a rule of thumb, like if it's less than 80%, they probably not going to finance it. There is something like a cutoff line.
They're usually less than 90%.
Yeah, it's not a hard and fast cutoff line. And it depends on the bank and the relationship and what they are at in their lending cycle and how aggressive they want to be. And their bank financing lending criteria changes yearly, if not, every couple months. But the banks know. So I'm looking at this in the next line, the property exited a LIHTC. So that's LIHTC. I never saw this tear sheet of property. I wish I would have. I would have invested in this, Lauren. So low income housing, low income housing tax credit. We bought a LIHTC property in South Carolina. It's doing really well. So basically, when a property is in a LIHTC period, they cannot increase the rent because this is a government funded building, and it's a certain year contract. And once that contract is up, you can then finally bump it to market rent. So we bought that 110 unit for the exact same reason that Sharpline obviously did, because that period was coming to an end, so they can finally bump it up to what they have written down here, the free market. So that's probably why it was 60% occupied too, because the tenants now are going from, $1,000 that the government's paying to, you're gonna have to pay $1,300, and they're like, well, I'm out.
And Irfan, to go back to your question too about, they're looking for that DSCR, right? They want to see the 1.25 or 1.2 DSCR. So they want to see that the income is covering the debt payments. So that's more so what they're focused on. But a lot of the lenders want to see 90% occupied. And if not, they want to know what the plan is. And so
it goes hand in hand. If your property is only 60%, you're probably not getting the income that it's not going to have the DSCR. So it goes hand in hand with occupancy in general.
And then if the occupancy is less than 90%, let's suppose 80%, they offer you a higher APR interest rate on it if they approve. That's the way it works.
They might, or more points. It depends on the bank, but
well, for this, Irfan, you hit it on the head. Our interest rate is 9.5% on this property. So yes, they required that. And not only that, they wanted 18 months of mortgage payments in reserves before we could close. So
18 months.
18 months within their bank, in a bank in there. And so, yes, so that was a big component of this too. So when we figured out, all right, how much money do we need to close? We ended up needing about $1.5 million to close, which is well above the normal down payment amount, right? But that's what we needed in order to get enough mortgage payments in cash to sit at the bank. So yes, it's exactly right. So what made us excited about this deal was we're buying it at a 9.5% interest rate. We're going to bump up the rents. And by the time we're done next year, we can refinance at probably 5.5%. So it's just a really big, it's what makes us quite excited about this particular property.
And whenever you refinance, let's suppose you pull your hard cash out of the property and you refinance it, because after refinancing it means you're putting more bank loan into it. And do you think we need to do underwriting again so we can pay off this bank loan, because that's going to cost us more, since we need to
Exactly. You completely re-underwrite it. So you don't want to take out a loan that's going to be more than your property can pay for, right? So that's really important. And frankly, the bank won't let you do that. You know, they're going to look at it and say, look, the income on this property is going to be $72,000 a month, the gross income. You know, then the expenses and okay, the mortgage can, again, they're looking at that 1.2 DSCR. So they want to make
and,
sure you've got the debt coverage ratio on point.
and and when you refinance, pull your cash out, what is income, cash flow you're looking at it, and it happens in your experience, sometime it go in negative.
Well, I would never refi if it's going to end up negative cash flow, and the bank wouldn't let us refi if it's going to be a negative cash flow then. So you're gonna know what you're going to be cash flowing prior to the refinance. But when you do the refinance, that money you're pulling out, that's tax free. Like that is literally printing money with real estate. It still blows my mind to this day. I love a good refi check.
Yes, yeah, but it's but yes, that you won't refi too much, and the bank won't let you. So that's going to be, but the to go back to the LIHTC burn off, if you guys are familiar with any of these, 30 years ago, Kansas City, the city or the county incentivized builders to build this 40-unit townhome community and gave them tax incentives to build it with the agreement that they would keep it for low income for 30 years. And that's what they did. And in 2022, the LIHTC, what they called, burned off. So it was no longer required to be low income housing. And at that point, it had become quite dilapidated because the owner, they lost their shirts on it. They bought it the wrong time. So that we bought it from them. So anyways, but that's it. This is just an example of the reason why I wanted to share this with you, is because if someone says, hey, come be a passive investor in our deal, you should be seeing, this is the minimum you should be seeing from them. And then you'll get the offer memorandum with a lot more detail on it. Any questions so far?
But remember, this is a passive deal. So 20% IRR, 2.5% EM, and 9.5% cash on cash. That's good, and you're not having to worry about managing the self or anything. You're completely passive. You're still getting the tax benefits and everything. So this is why many of my friends and colleagues, they don't want to go look at a 4-unit in Kingston. They just want to be a passive investor and, still get the benefits, the equity, and not have to do anything.
Yeah, because look at the cash flow calculator I just showed you guys on the 4-unit. We just quickly underwrote with Lindsay. That return was 6%. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people say, well, I could go buy a quad for 6%, or I could just invest in this passively and don't do anything, or guarantee the loan, and I'll get 20%. Mm-hmm. So I'll just do that. So again, it's different mindset. But this is why
Lauren and I do both. We do the active. If we're GPs on the active side, we still put money into an LP position, for the tax benefits. So you don't have to be just one or the other. Yeah. But again, it takes some time when you're just getting started to build up that LP reserve to put $50,000 into an LP spot. So
this is why it was important to us to dedicate an entire module to this type of investing. Yeah. People just don't know it exists. And then, so Sharpline, this is particular on this operator, already has 700 units, more than that now, 700 units in this community. So they already have scale. They have economies of scale in Kansas City. They already have teams. So it allows them to operate the property more efficiently. So that's a big deal as well. Again, 3.2s are just sought after in the area. And Sharpline self-manages 1,200 units across the country. So they're just proving or showing their experience, and they're not new into all of this. And then Sponsors have successfully completed 9 full cycle multifamily projects in the last 6 years. So what that means is that they have bought them, they have refied them, they have bought them, they have rehabbed them, done the business plan, and then they have exited and sold the property. That's called full cycle. So they've done that 9 times and returned profits to their investors 9 times. So again, you like to see these things, because if you're handing over your check and you have nothing to do with it beyond that, you want to know that operator is experienced. And we talked about that to ad nauseum in the module, so I won't go further than that. And then this is just information on Kansas City itself, which if you don't know a lot about the market at this point, this is important to know. Excuse me 1 second, Lindsay, you can take over for 1 moment.
Yeah. So the other things, again, this is bare minimum that you should see. We call this a tear sheet. And like Lauren said, we'll just get a text or something about this. So they'll always have the purchase price. You know, we talked about this, the price per unit, what type of property it is. Again, you know by now it's townhomes and Kansas City. You want to know the population growth. You know, we've talked about this in finding your own market, the unemployment rate. So this kind of hits all the main things that we've talked about, diverse employment. There's a healthcare system right by. So obviously that shows good jobs. People want to live in that area. The unemployment rate. So it hits all the basics. And what they'll go over with Sharpline or any good operator, they're going to have a webinar to go over all of this stuff in much more detail. So this is really just the highlights, the flyer that people, operators send out to get limited partners interest peaked in the property. I don't know if there's anything further down, probably some pictures. Yeah. So they'll just kind of put some teaser pictures on there too.
Any other questions on this one, guys?
When did you guys close on this one, Lauren?
April.
Oh, okay, so this was just this year. Wow, it's a good one. I think this was when I was doing the other raise too. Yeah. Oh, this was the JV investment. Yeah. Okay.
And just so you guys know, like rents they thought would be at 1,300, we're getting 2,000. So it's like it's a significant,
Wow.
significant win. So, anyways, again, I'm not getting deals like this on my own, so this is why I invest passively. And so on things like this. So I'll share one more and then I'm happy to share more with you guys. I know you all saw in the modules, but let's share one more so you can just see another thing. And then happy to answer any questions, of course. So here's another tear sheet.
Now this one I did.
So a 40 unit Class A, as you can see, built in 2016. That's a big, obviously, you're not gonna have a lot of issues with this. That's great. 3-year tax abatement. What that means is they don't need to pay property taxes for 3 years. A lot of cities will do this to incentivize people, to incentivize investors to buy more in the area. It really spurs investment when the county or the city, usually the county, tells you, don't worry about it. You don't need to pay property taxes. I mean, obviously you can imagine that opens the floodgates for investors that know they can produce better returns. So that's really great. And then again, Sharpline particularly has self-managed. So coming down here, the returns expected are 16%, IRR, annualized return 16% based on a 5-year hold, and then 7% cash on cash return. So again, you invest 100,000, you should be getting $7,000 per year in cash flow. And then here they're showing distributions start month 5. So the previous one didn't mention this, but we're not going to get distributions on that one for at least a year and a half. This one, they're getting distributions starting month 5. So
this one we closed on in December and they did start the distributions for it.
Yeah. So this is always important if you're going to make a passive investment or if you're just investing generally, knowing when distributions will start is important. And then the refinance will be in year 2. So coming down here, again, Class A 2016, bought from the original builder, and then Sharpline owns 220 units in this area. Purchase price $4.8 million, 120,000 a door, where the replacement cost is 175,000 a door. And that's something.
So if this burned down today, it would cost $175,000 a unit to rebuild it. So we're buying it less than what it costs, and again, it's brand new, construction.
Anytime you can buy a property for less than replacement cost, it means you're getting the land for free. And so think about it in that way. Anytime you can get the land for free and the entire value is based on the improvements, meaning the construction, that's fantastic.
And what's the quote we had? To buy land, they're not making any more of it. So there you go.
Yeah, exactly. Strong collections over the past 6 years. An investment like this, it's very solid. Are you going to see the exponential, velocity of money? Probably not. But are you going to see really solid returns? Yeah, you will. So again, 95% occupied, 1, 2, and 3 bedroom lofts, self-managed, already a team in the area, as they said, achieve the increased level up of upgrades to stand out. They're on this property, they're going to upgrade some of the units to be extra luxe. And then just jumping down here near downtown, operational efficiency, and then coming down here, just some pictures. So, and then as usual, information on the market itself, which is really important. So again, this is just a summary. I just want you guys to get used to looking at these. Again, even if you're not planning to invest passively, I think it just adds to your overall savviness.
You'll see one. Yeah, so Sharpline, we haven't gotten anything under contract, basically this whole year with them. And Chris Jackson, our business partner and the main manager of Sharpline, he just got something under contract. I know, Lauren, you talked to him about it. So we'll share with you. We're making the tear sheet. It should probably be out in the next week or so on a new opportunity with Sharpline. So you can see, again, what they look like and what we're still looking at actively in Kansas City, because that's where it's at out there.
How it all works.
Yep.
I have a question. I just went through the module again. The syndication is regulated by SEC. And what kind of regulation like we need to follow? Is that kind of more protection for the like the syndicated, the operator or the investor?
Both, because the SEC, their main job is to protect the investor, the SEC, because they want to make sure that if you're accredited or non-accredited, and these deals, it depends. Both of those were, so no, the 40 unit, that was a 506 B. So it was only for people that we knew that could join the deal, but it wasn't just for accredited. So non-accredited investors can join too. If you see things advertised publicly on Facebook, those are 506 B, and you can only be accredited investors for those.
506C. Those are
506. Let's see, yeah. For the accredited investors.
Yes,
So,
the SEC's job is to protect.
Yeah. So for all of these deals and anything for syndicators, there's a lot of money that goes into lawyer fees to make sure that they're SEC compliant, especially Sharpline. We use SEC lawyers, to make sure that all this is done right, the OAs and everything like that. And you see when the actual operating agreements come out, they're like, I just my grandma invested in the one that Junko, you did in the spring, the 144 unit. My grandma's like, can you print out the whole OA? I'm like, it's 146 pages. I did it for her. She's going to probably sit there and read it because she has nothing else to do over the next 2 weeks. But yeah, so they're long. It takes they're a lot of money to put together.
There's a lot of protections around it, which is helpful.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like the regular bank, you go in, there's like FIDC insure. These are not something like insure. If you lose money, there's at least some kind of $250,000 that available. But the SEC, I just want to know, have you heard anything that SEC had to intervene to kind of
oh yeah, it happens. It definitely happens. It hasn't happened on any of
There's
ours,
no-
but it happens.
There's no protection like there is with the FDIC, if that's your question.
Right.
There's
You're not gonna, So the only thing is,
reimburse everyone.
if something happens, horrible, the most that you can lose, which nobody wants to lose money, is just your investment. They can't come after your personal assets, your LP position. It's only what you've invested, which again, nobody, wants to lose money, but it's not like, if you buy a single family or a duplex in your name and you don't have, an LLC, the tenant can sue you and come after you personally and your personal home and everything like that if it's not done correctly. So, yeah, you're just limited to, I'm sorry.
Like the example I gave last week.
Yes.
Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
I have a question. If you were to lose your investment as an LP, I mean, that's still like tax-free. Like you could.
Yeah, it's an investment loss, same as like, stocks, tax loss harvesting and all that kind of stuff. So again, that's never the goal, right? But yeah, you can write it off as a, paper loss.
We don't market things that way, but yeah. If you lose it, no.
Think about worst scenario,
Yeah, of course. When you should be as an LP, that's your job, because you're not operating it, you're trusting the operator. So yeah, those are the questions you want to ask. Have you ever been foreclosed upon? Tell me about the worst deal you've done. What did you learn? Ask the hard questions to the operators.
Right. All right. Are there any other questions?
Have you guys ever had an experience like, like this? Like what exit strategy you're gonna go with, if you have to face something like this?
Say something
Lauren?
like what?
Like we don't like the operator?
Yeah,
So
and you
that's
lose your
a great
money on.
question. So there's a 212 unit that I'm involved with as a GP, but the operating agreement, there was one managing manager. And to be quite frank, he sucked. He was not taking care of the property. He wouldn't listen to any of the other GPs, and he was the managing manager and had the final voting right and say. We had to legally have him removed this summer. Lauren was involved in a separate deal with him, and you guys are closed or about to?
Tuesday.
Oh, thank God for you. So we had to legally remove him as the managing manager, and one of the other GPs is now in that role, and it doesn't have just his voting right. The rest of the GPs have to for any big things. And we have gone from 80s occupied to 96% in a month and a half. So Amit is doing great, Lauren. So we're finally going to be able to distribute checks to investors. So that got a little rough. And I stressed about that every night. Because again, if it was just my money in the JV and we fucked up, like shame on us. I'm sorry, my language. But that would be on Michael and I. We could only have to live with ourselves. But I brought investors' money into that. So yeah, it was tough to get that turned around, but we did, and we didn't give up. But yeah, it's not fun when that happens.
The distributions are not paid out on time. Is there like
They were not paid out on time for the first 16 months. Yeah.
and there's like an interest on after each quarter that's missed? Like, or
It
is
doesn't accumulate, but the goal is to start getting out where we were supposed to be, which was 6% cash on cash for that. We did one distribution at 1% last year. Again, this guy,
Well, and it's the expectation is that you would be able to on sale recoup some
capture,
of the cash that you didn't get in that first year. You push the rents and you push the property enough so that it's appreciated such that you can sell it, and the profits will make up for what wasn't distributed in the onset. Does that make sense? So that
nobody's lost. Yeah, nobody has lost money. We just up till this point hadn't been able to give out the cash flow that we had hoped for the year. But yeah, nothing was lost, and now 96% occupied now, literally as of August 31st. So it's good. Again.
Does that answer your question, though, Jose, about like the back end?
Yeah, I guess I'm still learning.
yeah. I get that a lot. I had another deal that I'm a GP on, where someone said we were 5 months before from we closed, and then we had 5 months before distribution started to be made, and that we was disclosed for always the same. He didn't realize that, so he called me and he said, where are the distributions? I'm like, as planned, we'll start in October. And he said, okay, but am I going to get catch up for the past 5 months? I'm like, well, when we sell it, you will get a catch up. You will still get your 15% annualized return. It's just not going to come right now. It's going to come on the profit on the sale. So, but again, all of this is or should be, Erica, I know you're rolling your eyes because you're like, should be disclosed. Erica had some communication issues with her syndication. All of this should be disclosed upfront, so there's no surprises. And if anything doesn't go exactly as planned, that should also be communicated.
It's like anything, life communication is key. Operators shouldn't be hiding anything, good or bad. Open communication is what should be expected from any operator.
That lifestyle investor book is really good. I'm on the 7th commandment so far.
Oh, nice.
Love it. That's great. Good. All right, guys. Well, thank you for another great call. We'll be sending out the recording. And as usual, feel free, message if you want to do some one-on-ones, just let us know.
If anybody wants a prop finder list like I did for Junko today, please let me know, and I'll pull it for you, especially since Prop Stream and Prop Finder Online has not given me the definitive answer. Won't sign up yet.
All right. Have a great night, guys.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Bye.